Lord Stephenson's, but of course the problem remains.
NME describes you as the leading light of the steampunk scene. What is the steampunk scene and why?
Well, steampunk is a fiction, a genre of fiction. It's like anachronistic Victorian fiction. It's like kind of Victorian sci-fi, and there's loads of other stuff around it. People have started modifying laptops and making them look Victorian and that sort of thing. And me and Andy basically got really into that aesthetic. We both really like the Victorian era, and we looked into the music, and basically the music wasn't in any way to our taste. There's some kind of like synthy gothy things, and basically none of it was punk.
You do quite a comic act. There's loads of jokes thrown in for good measure, and at least two of you are doing stand-up on the Fringe here. Do you consider yourself comedians first or musicians?
Regardless of expense, have a banana.
Personally, I'm a stand-up. That's what I do for a living. So anything I do has some comedy in it. Many moons ago, I interviewed the comic book writer Alan Moore, and he was talking about genre. And he said, well, the thing is, life isn't divided into genres. Life is romantic, horrific, you know, a little bit of porn, hopefully a lot of porn. And I think with anything I do, I kind of have the same approach. So anything I do is going to have a bit of humour in it.
Guitar for when you want to rock, yeah. Not make too much noise.
And tell me about your Christmas song.
That Mark wrote that?
Yeah, that was me. It's called Ebenezer's Carol.
It's Christmas!
It's essentially the alternative story of Ebenezer Scrooge, where it turns out that rather than the curmudgeonly old misanthrope who was redeemed through a visitation by ghosts, turns out he actually is just a scheming miser that made the whole thing up in order to get people to take out credits and loans with him.
Do you think you're going to get to #1 like Rage Against the Machine?
I think it's highly unlikely.
Will you be releasing it on iTunes?
Yeah, actually, we will be releasing it on iTunes, so technically it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen.
We're going to release it as a 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
It's going to be an EP, so we're going to do that. We're going to do Fox, because we haven't recorded that yet. Fox is actually a song I wrote for my stand-up.
He looked at me. His paw was bleeding from the broken glass and his breath was loud and ragged. I tried to read his facial expression, but I couldn't. He looked vaguely pissed off. Foxes generally do.